Good evening, visitors, and welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Gerard Pratt, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Navy is Midshipman Fox Cassidy. We welcome the veterans who have served, those who are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria and RSL Queensland, who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony from across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by visitors to the memorial. If you're able, please stand and join in singing the national anthem. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through until the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths of floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Private William Charles Goldfinch. William Goldfinch, known as Willie, was born on the 26th of December, 1896, the eldest son of William and Bessie Goldfinch of Coromolka on the York Peninsula in South Australia. His early education was conducted almost entirely privately under a Mr. Griffiths at Karamulka. In 1912, Willie's parents moved to Meningie to run a small sheep station, and Willie went with them, continuing his studies through male courses at home while helping his father run the farm. Willie Goldfinch was desperate to go to war when it broke out in 1914. Men under the age of 21 needed parental permission to enlist, and Willie asked his father as soon as he turned 18. His father did not consent to his oldest son going to war until the following year, when Willie successfully enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force from Adelaide in July. He underwent a period of training in Australia, leaving for active service overseas with reinforcements to the 10th Battalion in September 1915. Private Goldfinch was first sent to Egypt, meeting the 10th Battalion as it was evacuated from the Gallipoli Peninsula. He continued training in the desert for several months. During this time, the Australian Imperial Force underwent a period of expansion and reorganisation, and as part of that process, Goldfinch was transferred to the newly formed 50th Battalion. The 50th Battalion arrived in France in June 1916, prepared to fight in the Western Front. Its first major operation came in August 1916, when it entered the front line near the French village of Pozières. 2 days later, the 50th Battalion attacked towards a fortified farmstead called Mouquet Farm, suffering extremely heavy casualties from the constant shell fire. Private Goldfinch was not with the battalion when it was relieved from the front line after the attack. He was posted as missing for months until a court of inquiry was held to determine his fate. Sergeant Annis, described as a careful, reliable witness, gave evidence that on the 16th of August, Private Goldfinch was sitting in a trench with several facial wounds. Another soldier went past Goldfinch, touching his body as he went through. As he did so, Goldfinch fell over, and the men could see that he was dead, and probably had been for some time. After the formal determination of Willie's fate in 1917, his captain wrote to the family, saying, "He could not have had an easier nor a more glorious death. He was both loved and admired by his officers and his comrades." Private Goldfinch's remains were not found during the war and remained missing for years. It was not until the Imperial War Graves Commission was continuing its work around Pozières in 1928 that his body was discovered. His family were notified, and his father wrote back to say, "We are all pleased to hear that he has been found and has been cared for. Thanking all concerned very kindly. Any other communication would be very welcome." Willie Goldfinch was reburied in the Sayre Road Cemetery No. 2 in France, where he lies today under the words, "Dearly beloved son of W. and B. Goldfinch, Meningie, South Australia." He was 19 years old. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right, amongst almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the Pool of Reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private William Charles Goldfinch, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
lest we forget.
lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Poziere, or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the last post ceremony. We thank you all for visiting the Australian War Memorial and wish you all a very good evening.